Hey, Noodlers, sell a house, wholesale real estate investing number 168 here on this Wisdom Wednesday, September 23rd, 2015. Making sure my speakers are up there. Welcome everybody to the Hangout. I'm so glad you could be here on this day because gonna have to talk about some of the things that we just don't like to talk about, and that is the new governmental what's the word I want to use here? The new governmental, well, they'll call it regulations. I'll call it overregulation. And quite honestly, just ridiculous. New rules that, I don't know if you're aware of this, are going into effect on October 3rd, which is like, a week and a half away. And most people have no clue about this. Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, most people have no clue that this is even coming. And yet, the government has mandated it. It is happening October 3rd. The changes are going to be initiated. And of course, here's the guideline. You go figure it out. That's what we say you have to do, and you have to do it. But we don't know how the hell you're going to do it. So just good luck with that. That's how they imply. That's how they, put things. That's how the government puts things, that gets things started. It's just like, oh, hey, we came up with this brilliant idea. There you go, figure it out, good luck, but don't screw up or we're going to get you, because that's the way it works, I guess. I don't know. And so, and then it's like, here you go, businesses, corporations, entities, industries, whatever, here's your regulations, this is what you have to go figure out how to do. And oh, by the way, Joe Public, yeah, you don't need to know about this. Don't worry about it. It's designed, it's all been put together for your protection, but don't worry, you don't have to know what it is, and or how it's going to affect you, or what you might need to look for, or any of that stuff. Just play ball, shut up. that's how we do things in this country. That's how the government does things for us in this country. Isn't that a great system? Just here's the new plan, go figure it out, good luck, and you better not screw up. And everybody else, yeah, it's okay, don't worry about it, you don't need to know nothing. It's going to affect you, it's got a major effect, yeah, but don't worry about it, you don't have to worry about nothing. And then the next thing you know, here's this massive chaos going on, trying to figure all this crap out. Oh, by the way, Mr. Dodd and Mr. Frank, thank you a whole hell of a lot for this crap. Anyway, that's my rant to start this off with. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about, oops, wait a second, 1 second. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about, is everything? Not everything. Yes. Talking about, where's the beginning of this? TILA-RESPA integrated disclosure. What the hell is that TILA-RESPA integrated disclosure? What the hell's a TILA? What the hell's a RESPA? An integrated disclosure. It's commonly being known as TRID. I don't know. We'll come up with something good for that. I haven't had a chance to think about this. I just got this last night. So, so TILA-RESPA integrated disclosure. What the heck are we talking about here? It's a darn good question. This was presented at a meeting last night that I attended. Oh, here we go. There's a third piece of it. This was presented at a real estate meeting I attended last night by a very knowledgeable title closing agent And thank God for these people, and of course these these measures, these TILA-RESPA measures are going to have this TRID stuff is going to have an effect on them and on how they do their job. So here the here all title agencies are now going to be hugely affected by this. As I just mentioned, Joe Public, sellers and buyers, they're going to be hugely affected by this. And of course, they know nothing about it. Real estate agents are going to be hugely affected by this. And the banks, of course, are hugely affected by this, because what this is all about is putting measures in place to protect Joe Public from the predatory lending habits of the banks, and to make sure that everything is on the up and up and everybody knows what they're doing and all this other stuff. And it's really, but the way that they put this together is just ridiculous. The way that it comes down, what it really kind of comes down to, what they've put in place here is that, and trust me, I don't even know probably a tenth of this crap, but kind of in a nutshell, what I gathered out of it, what I can remember of it, because they handed out this piece of paper right here. Then they handed out this little folder right here with about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 pages there. And then they handed out this whole little booklet right here with all of these kinds of pages in here, all of these contract kind of looking pages in here, and what the heck is all this stuff, right? So then they handed that out. Then they handed this out. This was the presentation. All that. I don't know. What is it? Let me see here. 21 pages. 3 slides per page. A lot of information, okay? A lot. So yeah, generally, so like I said, way too much for me to absorb in one sitting, just, coming at you like that. But so anyway, the bottom line here basically is this all has to do with lending. And so obviously this is directly affected towards not only the institutional lenders, but hard money lenders as well too, especially the long-term hard money lenders who are lending to an end user buyer that's looking for, the people that can't, that the bank won't lend to, and the hard money guys that are lending to them for, say, 6 or 12 month or 18 or 24 month, whatever periods, that people can, get this hard money, get into this house, get some, get their act their act together to where they can actually then turn around and go get a loan from a bank. Those guys are hugely affected by this. They said that anybody that does more than 5 loans a year is affected by this. Sort of like, hey, there's Mr. Dodd and Mr. Frank, deciding how much money we can make again. Just like with the seller financing thing, anybody that does more than 3 seller financings a year is now, voodoo, taboo, some big bad, scary predator that we have to watch out for. And so, here they're putting a limit on, anybody that does more than 5 hard money loans, or that, whatever that is, this is affected to them too. They have to comply to all this crap. And then, so as far as we go, wholesale real estate, how does this affect us? Okay, well, hey, if you're contracting a deal from a seller, and you're turning around and you're selling it to a cash buyer, whether it be an investor cash buyer or an end user cash buyer, then guess what? You can turn this hangout off now, because that has nothing to do with you. However, if you are buying direct from a seller, which is what we do as wholesalers, well, some of you guys out there are taking stuff down on the MLS, but that's another story. But anyway, we're buying directly from a seller, so it has no effect on us that way. We're selling. However, if you are doing any sort of, if you're taking properties down in any way, shape, or form, whether you're taking them down yourself, whether you're maybe wholesaling them to yourself, another entity that is your own, if you're using hard money for that, and you're using somebody that, I mean, I'm sure your hard money guy is probably making more than 5 loans a year. Now, like I said, on the short-term flip loans, there may be a little bit of leeway in there. I'm not quite 100% sure about that. But if you're pulling some kind of long-term loans, could definitely be affected. So you're going to need to want to know what these guidelines are so you can keep track of this stuff. And if you are taking properties down yourself, whether you do the work on them or you're just like doing a prehab, whatever the case is, and you're flipping on the MLS, potentially, unless you're, put in there cash buyers only, if you're, potentially selling to an end user buyer, or even potentially an investor who's buying off the MLS that's using hard money or a bank loan of some kind. These, this crap trickles on all the way down to us, in the potential that if we're doing any of those things, that we need to know what the heck is going on here, and so we can keep track of it. And that's the whole thing. See, is how does it affect? How does the trickle down? How does how does the stuff roll downhill? Right? You've all heard that one, right? So how does it roll downhill? Well, all the way to the bottom level, the seller needs to know this stuff, because the seller is the one who's going to really need to make sure that they know when all the deadlines are, so that they can make sure that whoever's supposed to be making this happen and meeting these deadlines is in fact doing that. So that's the seller's part. That's the trickle. That's the crap trickling all the way down to the bottom of the pipe. All right. And so then, in the middle there, who's this affecting in the middle is the buyers, of course, and the title agents. And that is where the buyers now definitely have to be in compliance. The seller's the one that's got to like know the timeline and say, hey, all right, this day is approaching. We need to make sure we get the buyers, side to make this happen. And so the buyers actually, so now the seller and the buyer have been more, get in here and be part of this transaction. We can no longer just kind of like go, hey, we're selling this property, handle it for us. We need to actually have a hands-on type of approach to this. Because if somebody messes up and you don't know it, this is the ridiculous part. If at any point in time during this, these quotas, or not quotas, but these requirements aren't met, most of these requirements are just stupid little things, but they absolutely have to take place within a specific time period. So if the time period expires for you to put this piece of paperwork in, guess what? Start over. Go all the way back to the beginning. Everything that you've done up to that point. And this can happen all the way right up to, from what it sounded like 3 days before you're closing. And guess what? Game over. Go back to square one. Do it again. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So that's why the sellers need to be on their game. You as a seller need to be on your game in knowing what these deadlines are with each and every deal you got going on. Imagine you got 10 deals going on, and you got to know when. Now, instead of just knowing when your closing date is, right, and making sure you get everything taken care of before the closing date, now you got to know when, this date is, and when 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 this date is. And there is, I think, about 6 dates that we need to know of. So they just, that's how much ridiculousness they just piled upon us. All right, so yeah, so the middle, the buyers, they got to comply. They got to stay, in line with, because the buyers actually have to make some of this happen. The sellers need to make sure that it's happening. So the buyers have to make it happen. And then the title company, of course, is involved, because obviously they're the ones that have to coordinate signatures. And some of their deadlines are, they get information today, they got to have a signature from both parties within like 24 hours or some crap. So, you know, if that can't happen, somebody's out of town or whatever, hopefully, I think, I'm not sure 100%, but hopefully they're going to incorporate e-sign into this, because if e-sign isn't possible, how can they even get a document out even in an overnight? You know, that's going to step up. You know, UPS and FedEx are now going to have to do a same day, a right now delivery. You know, and what's that going to cost? All right, hey, $500. We'll put this thing, you know, we'll drive this thing to the airport right now and put it on a plane and fly it across the country and get you your signature and fly it back. You know, I mean, can they really even put that kind of a system together? So, yeah, some of these deadlines are just going to be potentially impossible to meet if e-sign is not incorporated into the process. And you know, and that means that, you know, here again too, you know, both seller and buyer, which most everybody does today, but there's still some people out there, especially some sellers, that, you know, hey man, they're not internet savvy, getting an email and I'm fairly, you know, internet technologically sound as far as being able to do things, but even just freaking getting a document via email, having to print it out, sign it, scan it, get it back into the computer, get it uploaded to a file, get it transferred onto your email and sent back. It's not always just a simple process, okay? You know, one little stupid glitch between your computer and your printer, and oh, those never happen. Yeah, that always works perfectly, right? One little glitch there, and you know, you're all of a sudden you're pulling your hair out trying to figure out why your printer is not communicating with your computer, or why all of a sudden, you know, it scanned yesterday but it won't scan today, or why, you know, you get my picture, you get my point here. So putting these deadlines, these time deadlines, and they're not like, you know, 72 hours, they're like one day, okay? It happens, we get it anytime yesterday, you get till the end of business tomorrow kind of a thing. And then they got a business day inclusion in there, which is going to add a little bit extra stress to the whole thing, whereas this is defined by business days. You've got X amount of business days to make this happen, which is defined as, you know, the banking sort of business days, which, you know, some banks are open 6 days a week and some banks are open 5 days a week. So really, what banking business days are you operating under here? Are you operating under the 5-day or the 6-day? And if a deadline's coming up on a Saturday, right, and you didn't get it done on Friday and your deadline ends tomorrow, well, that's a business day if your bank happens to be a 6-day bank and your title company's closed, and guess what? Game over. Back to square one. So there's going to be a lot of game over, back to square one happening after October 3rd. A little bit of good news here is that everything that happens prior to October 3rd, so get out there and sign them up and get them in escrow right now, because everything that happened prior to October 3rd going to be done under the old system. And then there's a sort of 30-day transitional period, you know, so anything signed and in escrow prior to October 3rd will close exactly the same way as you know it right now, no effect whatsoever. And then anything signed after October 3rd for the next 30 days, that's your transition period. They're giving you 30 days to figure it out. Banks, title companies, buyers, sellers, real estate agents, you got 30 days to figure this out. Everybody got to come together, have a big meeting, and walk out of there with, you know, everybody knowing what it is they're supposed to do with this crap. Yeah, good luck with that. Excuse me, tickle in my nose. So anyway, where was I at? The banks, the closings, what was I lost my train of thought. So you know, like, I know, the 30 days. So after October 3rd, for the next 30 days, there's your training period, there's your learning period, there's your There's your, your learning curve. You got to get it all figured out within 30 days. And then after 30 days, that's when pretty much everything that's contracted and goes into escrow after 30 days, that's when, game over is really going to start. There might be a few little slacks on that during that first 30-day period. I don't know. I don't know how closely, I don't know how closely they're going to monitor that. And by the way, who the heck is going to monitor this crap? Let's just start up a whole new multi-billion-dollar bureaucracy operation that the government needs to put into place so we can, build our debt even higher and spend more money. Anyway, so it's mostly upon the lenders. And here's the thing. Here's what we got here. There's now, and I'm not even sure how this works. I don't know if it's one piece or two pieces. The time frame is whatever, but there's what's called a loan estimate. And then there's going to be a closing disclosure. Okay, are these one and the same thing, two things? I'm not sure. I think the loan estimate is like in the beginning, and so there's certain and so the bank has to disclose all this crap onto this loan estimate so that the poor unsuspecting buyer can know exactly what's going on here. And then not only that, there's automatic game overs built into this. If at any point in time your interest rate that the bank puts out and discloses on the loan estimate changes by 1/8 of 1%, 1/8 of 1%, that right there, you know what, guys? That right there tells me how in the hell can the Fed raise interest rates now when if the Fed raises interest rates more than 1/8 of 1%, game over for thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands, or even millions of open escrows across the country. Reset, start over. I think somebody really has a major problem with the rainforest and really has a plan to wipe it out, because how much freaking paperwork is going to be wasted on this? Anyway, all right. So where was I again? Sorry, I keep going off on these sides. So the bank has to put these two things together now. That's just one of the resets, like I said. There was a couple others in here. Like I said, there's deadlines with the bank giving this disclosure. There's deadlines with the buyer. Then there's another piece to this. The buyers, your buyer, you're selling, you're selling a property. Your buyer has a, what's it called? I forget. Something, intent to proceed, I think. Okay, intent to proceed. So your buyer now has to put this intent to proceed into the bank, not to you. That we don't care that if your buyer's worried about proceeding. It has to go into the bank, and the buyer can actually, the way this is set up, the buyer can actually string along the bank right up to, I think it's like, again, 3 days prior to the closing with this intent to proceed thing. And so you as a seller, it puts you, and how is this protecting you? This is supposed to be to protect it. Well, actually, I guess, I don't know, it's supposed to be protecting buyers from the loan, I guess. So that's why you as a seller, poo on you. So you as a seller, you and a seller, you put your property up on the market. And this goes for homeowners or investors, especially. We're talking about investors here. Wholesalers, you decide to put, you take down a property and you go to put it on the MLS. You figure you can get a better price from a retail buyer. your buyer can string this out. You don't have any clue whatsoever if they're going to actually stay in the game and close this deal until potentially 3 days before the actual closing date. And meantime, your property's been off the market this whole time. One of the good news pieces here is that I don't know that it's actually built into, or if you need to sort of put that in place for it, but this is going to give you as a seller a way to actually acquire a lot more default earnest money. Trust me, a lot of default earnest money, because this is going to probably extend close, especially in the beginning. This is probably going to extend closings, 30-day closings out to now 60-day closings, 45-day closings out to maybe 90-day closings, because of all of these, ridiculous regulations. It's going to because of the number of resets that are probably going to take place during a closing, especially in the beginning here. Maybe at the end of it, we can actually rope it back down into a 45-day closing period, but it's going to take some time. It's going to blow this thing out of proportion. It's going to be a lot of resets, especially in the beginning of this. You're going to probably have a number of potential retail end user buyers who get sick of this ridiculous game because they don't know about this. Remember that. They have no clue about this coming in. Right? They're coming into this thinking they're buying a piece of real estate the way they've always bought a piece of real estate. Fairly straight, simple, forward game, right? Not a big major problem. And then all of a sudden now they're in on this, and communication breaks down somewhere along the line, and a deadline gets missed, and bam, start over. And the buyer is probably going to be in a position like, what the hell are you people doing here? Are you kidding me? Who is this seller? Why is all this? Why does this happen? And then if it happens again, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh, that's it. I can't deal with this. We're going somewhere else. We're buying another house. You use this title company, you're ridiculous. This agent, you're ridiculous. Look at the fallout of how these potential buyers who don't know that this is the new laws are going to be out there having to fumble through this and have these mistakes happen, have these closings drawn out. They're expecting to move into this house. We got a closing date set for 45 days. We're expecting to move into this house. We got the other house closing and doing all this stuff. And now all of a sudden, bam, reset, and their closing date doesn't happen. That affects hugely for a lot of people. Timing is crucial with all this stuff sometimes. So that can be a major thing within the closing periods, and how buyers perceive this. Buyers that don't know about what's going on here, how they perceive this, and the potentiality for them to be bailing on a lot of these deals. But also too, which is one of the reasons why you as an investor especially are going to want to make sure that if you are selling MLS, that you have a real estate agent who really understands all of this TILA or TRID stuff, and a title company, a title agent that really understands all this TRID stuff. And so that, and you yourself really understand all these TRID timelines, so that, you can make sure, you can be the one who makes sure that your real estate agent is on top of their real estate agent, so that they can get them to do all the things that they need to do on time, so that it can get to the bank, so that the bank can do all the things that they have to do on time. The bank's got a mountain of crap that they have to do on time compared to even the seller and the buyer, or even the buyer. It really all comes down mostly to the buyer and the bank, but yeah, it's the fallout goes to everybody. So anyway, that's your TILA RESPA integrated disclosure TRID. Thank you very much, Mr. Government, Uncle Sam. not even going to blame it on Obama. It's not his fault. He's just a freaking head. He's just the talking head of the snake. The snake is the problem. But anyway, yeah, that's your new deal coming down here. I'm telling you right now, if you've got deals out there, people that are on the fence, get them in escrow. Use this to actually push them. Say, hey, look, this whole thing's changing on October 3rd, and it's going to be so much harder to sell your house. Let's get this thing under contract and get it in escrow right now. Use this to your advantage. Take it out there today and get some extra contracts signed. Get as many as you can open before October 3rd, and you don't have any problems whatsoever. Like I said, if you're selling to cash buyers, hey, you can relax a little bit. This isn't going to affect you all that much. Unless, you know, like I said, you're taking them down and you're using hard money, or you're selling and the people you're using are using hard money. There's potential there. I don't know what, you know, that's like a piece. That's one of those unknown pieces right there. That's like, you know, hey, here it is, go figure it out, right? Well, that's one of the things that we, you know, have to all come together on the mastermind and figure out. Okay, as far as private lenders go, or hard money lenders go, okay, who's in, who's out? We don't even know completely who's in, who's out. So Tila Respa integrated disclosure. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Trid, thank you very much. Oh, universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, please, about stuff I don't really even want to know about. Oh, universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, because those are some beautiful, simple, easy riches that I can get a handle on, I can be in control of, and I can make happen. And I don't have to worry about what the government regulations are, and I don't have to worry about what any of that other crap is. So all of the gifts given to me at birth, so that I can control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire, which is to have somebody else deal with all this crap. Anyway, glad you were here. Hope you got something good out of this. And yeah, get out there and talk to your title agent, talk to your hard money lender, maybe pull them all into a room, have a meeting, sit down, figure out who's got what going on, what they know about all this stuff. Be ready in 10 days for TRID. Oh, and TRID and the aliens. Yeah, there's inside of TRID, there's aliens. Don't forget, yeah, you're going to want to look into that.